Hey now, ladies and gentlemen, hour number 4 of the line, Talk 99.5 and Talk995.com. Andrew Mclain here, hanging out with ya, wrapping it up here soon on this Friday, on a very tumultuous Friday, crazy Friday. Donald Trump just wrapping up his press conference, and a lot to take from that. I would say that the big takeaway is that he seems confident in these other avenues that they'll be taking with tariffs. First of all, 10% tariff across the board for everybody, just as a warning shot or whatever you want to call it. He's all right. Everybody gets a 10% tariff because we're allowed to do 10% tariffs under this other stuff. But what they didn't have to do, if I can explain it in regular person terms, that's actually the only way I know how to explain things, is that these other routes, which include the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, the Trade Act of 1974, and the Tariff Act of 1930, all of which are options for the president, they have to essentially present or at least have their evidence on hand as to why they are implementing these tariffs and why it has to do with national security. Now, they don't necessarily, from my understanding, have to go through some sort of committee or hearing or whatever. They just have to have it on hand in case somebody challenges within this country, challenges said tariffs. And if that happens, they say, here you go, here's what we got, this is why we're doing it, and it's all cut and dry. So it's a little more of a strenuous process. It hamstrings the Trump administration a little more in implementing these tariffs, opposed to Donald Trump just saying tariffs for you and you and you and you. But the good news is, according to Donald Trump, and I believe him when he says this, is that they're ultimately going to be bringing in more money, and it's going to give them the ability to tariff countries even further if need be. You heard him note that he was talking to the president of Vietnam, who was in the White House he was meeting with. And the president of Vietnam said to him after this ruling, Mr. President, I think this probably means you're going to be able to tariff us even more. And he says, yeah, you know what? You're probably right. Canada said the same thing. They were like, oh, no, this is not necessarily good for us. And so the fight is on. The upfront nature in which he described the Supreme Court justices that voted to strike down these tariffs, Republicans and Democrats alike. He really didn't even attack the Democrats, the liberals in the Supreme Court, because he said it's an automatic no. I know what they're going to vote. Like, it doesn't matter what's constitutional or what's in the text or anything like that. They're just automatically no. But it's the others like John Roberts that they've got a big problem with. Coney Barrett, Neil Gorsuch, those particular Supreme Court justices, he's like, these guys are despicable. And I know most people are like, well, president shouldn't say that about the Supreme Court. I agree. Because in Brett Kavanaugh's dissent, he wrote a 63-page dissent and laid it all out that this is a crazy decision, that this is a very sloppy decision because they didn't even mention anything about the money that had been taken in and where it's got to go or what's going to be done with it. And it completely ignores what the text and previous rulings say. So he said that he's very ashamed of those individuals, and he says there's two things about it why he suspects they voted this way. One of which is they're scared of the left-wing mob. And the reason I agree with that is because I've seen it happen. I saw it happen with the Texas suit that went to the Supreme Court in the wake of the 2020 election. And John Roberts allegedly said in arguing behind closed doors about whether or not they will even take up that case of election fraud, he says, "Yeah, we had Bush v. Gore, but we didn't have riots in the street at that time." And if he in fact said that, which was the reporting, that would lead me to believe that John Roberts and probably others look at a situation and instead of saying it's best for us to decide this way on a particular case, we're not going to do it because we don't want to rile up the left. That's a pretty disgusting way to conduct yourself as a Supreme Court justice. But I think it's likely the reality. Also, he mentioned the foreign influence on some justices. I don't know anything about that, but I also wouldn't be surprised by it. He mentions that, and then one reporter asked the question, "Mr. President, what evidence do you have that Supreme Court justices are influenced by foreign countries?" And his answer was, "Oh, you'll find out. You'll see." And I'm like, "Oh man, what does that mean? I don't know, but we might find out." So there you go, man. You got it. He laid it out, which is exactly what I expected him to do, is to come out and say, "Yes, this ruling sucks, but we're gonna keep on keeping on, baby. That ain't the end of the road for tariffs." He said, "I probably should have just done it this way in the first place because it is of a sound legal basis and that nobody's going to really be able to argue it or send another case back to the Supreme Court." He said, "But I wanted to do it the easy way. I wanted to be able to just get in there and do it. And so now they're going to force us to do it a different way, but you're going to get your tariffs one way or another. And the tariffs are to benefit the working people of this country." And that's why it baffles me to see politicians throw temper tantrums over tariffs when it's literally benefiting their constituents, when factories are being built, when employers are hiring more people. People are getting jobs, the economy's growing, and they're like, "Wow, this is bad. We need to keep on doing what we've been doing." And that's getting ripped off by other countries because that's worked out so well for us. It's crazy, but that's what we got. Fascinating press conference from Donald Trump. If you want to get in, 205 545 9950, 545 9950. A lot of other stuff to get to. I can try and make that happen. Let me go to Kyle in Hoover. Kyle, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Andrew? No, you're right. I think that for a lot of the politicians and even probably some of the Supreme Court justices that are going against this, I would say probably maybe 15, 20% are probably like, "Well, no, we don't need to change what we're doing because of this and that." I would say probably the other 80% are all, "Well, no, if Trump's for this, we've got to be against it. And, we can't let him win on anything." And there are even some Republican rhinos I would put in that group too. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. That's 100% what it is, and it's so for so long in Washington D.C. It's been business as usual. These are all of these people know each other. A lot of them have worked with each other with one another for years and years and years, and they've all conducted business a certain way. And they don't want to change that. They don't want to disrupt the apple cart. They don't want to offend their donors or their this, their that. And so they want to keep things the same. Trump is the opposite of that. Trump is in the business of changing it all around and doing what works opposed to what doesn't work. And these individuals will stop him at any cost.
Well, and it's funny too because remember that they actually used to use tariffs, and we didn't have an income tax. And I'm like, if we could do enough with the tariffs where, hey, income tax is gone, that'd be awesome. But just like you said, they're never going to do that because of the fact that they haven't set up that way for a reason, and they're never going to relinquish that control.
That's right. What it costs them is it costs them power. It costs them control over the American people. And they don't want to allow us to have that kind of freedom or the freedom that Americans once had, like you said, back when tariffs were the source of income for the government and not income tax. They'll fight tooth and nail over that.
But you would think, too, that eventually, some people will be like, all right, enough, vote this person out, let's put this person in. But then I keep reminding myself, look at Mamdani, look at the governor of Virginia, look at the mayor up in Seattle. They're all basically communists, and it's like then people act all shocked, like, wait a minute, my energy bill's going up, my property taxes are going up, and we're all sitting here like, we told you this would happen. What did you think, we were all lying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if they don't know or they just don't care.
Well, it's as if that they're not that concentrated on the issues that affect their finances. It's more of the social issues and the transgender and the immigrants and all this kind of stuff. But maybe these are the growing pains that they need in order to realize, hey, I need to concentrate more on what the price of groceries are going to be, or the taxes that are being taken out of my check, or whatever. Maybe that's what they need to come around. But of course, maybe they continue to vote this way, even though it's detrimental to their own good. Who knows?
Do you think Mamdani, when the next election comes around, do you think he's out, or do you think no, that New York's pretty much turned into California?
I think maybe both. Because Mamdani's already getting a bunch of pushback, and I mean it's only been a month and a half, and so I think he's going to become incredibly unpopular really quick. I don't think he sees a second term, but it depends on how much damage he does during this term as to whether New York can turn it around or if New Yorkers learn their lesson. So, well, it's all going to hinge on who they elect after Mamdani as to whether New York's done for or not.
That is true. And like you say, only time will tell. So we're just going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
That's it. All right, Kyle. Thanks,
Have
buddy.
a good one, man.
Yeah, it's it gets frustrating. I mean, watching people vote against their own interest, but at the same time, a lot of people view us, and I say us as people that are conservative or vote for Trump. They think we vote against our self-interest. I've already seen social media posts about, oh my gosh, Donald Trump has put 10% tariffs on all these countries. Now you got a 10% tax increase. Still playing this game like the tariffs aren't working. Like, if tariffs didn't work, we wouldn't continue to support them. We wouldn't continue to applaud Donald Trump for implementing the tariffs. But it's working. So we like it. We want more tariffs. Go talk to the people. Again, the people that are getting jobs because industries are moving back to this country. Go talk to the farmers who just got $12 billion in tariff money to help level the playing field for how much they've been screwed over the past years and decades by previous leadership that was, as Kyle stated, playing the same old game, just keeping the status quo. The status quo is the American people getting screwed over, in particular the middle class, getting screwed over. And most of us are tired of that. But and a lot of people didn't even know that we could change it. A lot of us were kind of like, hey, this is how it is. Politics sucks. Washington sucks. Democrats, Republicans, they all suck. It's never going to change. And now we have this golden opportunity to change the entire system in a way that finally works for us, as it always should have. And some people are blinded by the propaganda that they've been fed that they can't even see that. Because this doesn't help just Republicans. This doesn't help just conservatives or Trump voters. It helps everybody. For example, and some people do wake up to this. I often talk about my buddy, and I don't ever say his name because I don't ask his permission to talk about him. But left wing as it gets, self-identified socialist, full-blown Bernie bro, right? And one of my good friends, and we don't talk politics a lot. We do sometimes. We used to do it a lot, but I tell him, like, hey, don't text me or don't call me after the show to argue with me about politics. I don't call and argue with you about your job after you get off work, so he didn't do it as much anymore. But he sent me a text during that press conference. You know what he said? He said, quote, "This is Trump's best press conference. I agree with like a lot of it." He listened. This Bernie bro, this socialist, this full-blown, all his life, been a Democrat, not going to change, going to continue to vote Democrat, text me, hey, I'm watching the Trump press conference, and I actually agree with all of this stuff. So some people get it. Some people do. And maybe if you could take your blinders off for 5 seconds, you would realize that this is in fact beneficial for the country. But you're not going to be able to see it while spewing the propaganda and the talking points that you see on, your social media algorithm that just gives you lunatics like the Krasenstein brothers or whoever. Like, you actually try to make up your mind on your own. Try to see this objectively. Look at it and say, does this benefit me? You'd be pleasantly surprised. 205-545-9950. More your phone calls right after this. Two oh five 545-9950. 545-9950. On last night's podcast, we talked about kind of the tactics that the left is using against Trump and some of the old tricks that they're pulling out that don't work anymore, which show a level of desperation. I go back to Jasmine Crockett interviewing Les Waxner and asking him the questions of like, did you see Trump on Epstein Island? Did you ever see him together? Did Epstein ever talk to you about Trump's sex life? like all these unserious questions. but they're going back to a very old tactic, which is Trump is a racist, which I want to get into here in a few minutes. Let me first get Vaughn on the line. Vaughn, what's up?
Hey, good afternoon, sir.
Hey, buddy.
There are just so many people out there on the left that have what they're calling the Trump derangement syndrome that they can't even rationalize what he is doing for the country.
That's correct. Yeah. It's
Just absolutely can't fathom. And anything that they post, whether it be Facebook or you talk to them, never anything that's good about Trump. And
no, and it's a lot of talking points. Like a lot of the stuff that you see, especially on social media, are not original thoughts from these individuals anyway. Like there's a campaign on, I see it on X all the time on Twitter, and there's certain accounts that'll put out these talking points and they'll twist things or take it out of context, whether it's what Trump said or his policies or whatever. They'll blast it out there, and then all the minions just repeat it, and they don't put any thought into it. They don't try to actually understand the issue. They just repeat the talking points and believe them. And so
exactly.
that's part of the Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, and I know when he was campaigning, he said on day one, I will do X, Y, Z. Okay, nobody can do anything on day one unless it's something that's legally can be done. It takes time to enact a lot of these processes that he is in the process of changing. So, but they like to give him a real hard time about, on day one, he hadn't done anything. Well, yeah, he has. He's done a heck of a lot. The tariffs, negative about the tariffs, but from what I have seen, it's helped.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Another one they like to use is the
Andrew, have a great afternoon.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Vaughn. I appreciate it. Another one they like to use is the he said he was gonna end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one. And it's like, listen, if that's the best thing, if that's the worst thing he's done is not in that war on day one. By the way, he's ended like 8 other wars. Then I'll take it. I'll take my losses on that one. But everything, it's been this pitch of gloom and doom for not just 2 years, which would be the year he's been in office in the campaign trail, but going back to 2015. It's been gloom and doom. We were told by Hillary Clinton that Donald Trump was going to initiate World War III, that the economy was going to crash, that all these different things were going to happen. And listen, leading into Donald Trump's first term, when he was inaugurated, there were a lot of conservatives that didn't like Donald Trump. They voted for him because he was far better than Hillary Clinton, but there were still a lot of detractors that were like, I don't like Trump. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he tweets. I don't think his policies are going to work. These are people that have lived in this bubble of, this is the way things have got to work. This is the way Washington. I think. And listen, I've been in that camp before Donald Trump ever showed up. They think that the only way things are going to work is the way that they've always worked, right? Your stereotypical, I'm a Republican and I stand up for Republican values, and this is the way we do things. We don't think outside the box. We do what we've always done as Republicans, which, by the way, was a losing message. That's why Barack Obama was president for 8 years. Trump came and flipped that. A lot of people were skeptical about that at first. But as they started seeing the results, they started realizing, wait a minute, this guy's kind of got the right idea. And he proved himself to the vast majority of conservatives, but Democrats continue to be propagandized.
I'm gonna take a freight train down at the station, and I don't care where it goes. I'm gonna climb a mountain, the highest mountain, Lord. Gonna jump off and nobody gonna know. Can't you see? Oh, can't you see what that woman, she been doing to me? Can't you see? Oh, can't you see what that woman, she been doing to me?
205-545-9950. Ernest Financial. Bringing you this part of the show. RetireWithErnest.com. RetireWithErnest.com. My buddy David Ernest waiting on your phone call. That's right. He's waiting on you. You can reach out to him. Let him know I sent you. If you're 55 or older, you got over 50K in your retirement, I'm going to keep preaching this till I'm out of breath. Get in touch with him, man. Even if you don't fully understand, you're like, I don't get it. What does he do? What is he going to do with my retirement? Trust me, it's going to be one of the best decisions you ever made. One, because you need a plan. You need a roadmap. You need a blueprint to what your retirement is going to look like. When that day comes, like, what's next? What do you do? How do you access your money? What do you do with your money? Where do you put it? What do you make? How do you make sure you've got money not only throughout the rest of your years, but you've got a lot of money to leave to your loved ones, to your kids, to your grandkids, whatever it is you're wanting to do? You can't do that by just winging it. You got to have some super smart financial people on your side. And what I love the most about this is it doesn't cost you anything. They don't take fees from you. They get them elsewhere. They just work on making your money work for you, making sure you have a plan and securing your retirement. It's as simple as that. But call them, get all the information you need. They'll give it to you, 833-596-7233. And you can rest assured you're in good hands. These guys have been doing this over 45 years. They've seen it all. 833-596-7233. And online, retirewithernest.com. Let me squeeze in Rick real quick. Rick, what's up?
Hey, I broke all the roads, didn't I? But God gave us a road map, and He gave us an instruction book, and everybody's varying from it, but they all want to use it, But ain't none of them adhering to nothing that it says. And everybody's got a different set of plans. We're trying to build a new world here, but everybody's got a different set of plans. Oh, you got one, I got one. Everybody's, and they get up there and everybody's all confused. They read what it says, and everybody says something different. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Rick. Rick always laying down the law, man. Laying down the law. Yeah, everybody's got a different plan. And as we've stated several times, I mean, I've made it clear my faith and my beliefs on the show outside of politics and the bigger picture, if you will. There's only one roadmap at the end of the day, no matter who's president or if this country flourishes or it's destroyed or whatever. At the end of the day, on past your retirement, there's only one roadmap, and that is straight up, and you got to follow it. There's a book out there for us. We call it the Bible, and that's your roadmap. It's your roadmap for here on Earth as well to make sure you live a happy, prosperous life. I assure you of that. I assure you of that. All right, so let me do this. I had mentioned, I think at the top of the hour, about the tactics, and this goes back to why some people continue to buy into the propaganda, because people like mainstream media outlets, The View in particular. Let's take The View for example. They have made their career over the past 10 years as painting Donald Trump as the ultimate bad guy. Like, he's Hitler, he's racist, he's all these things. He's like, and if you firmly believe that Donald Trump is Hitler reincarnate, well, then it doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter. Like if Hitler sends you a $2,000 stimulus check, yeah, you might go cash it and you might go buy some stuff with it, but you're not going to run around being like, oh, yeah, man, Hitler sent me some money. He's a pretty cool guy. You're not going to say that. And that's how these people operate. Like, even if it is in their best interest, they say this guy is the most evil human being on the face of the earth, and I refuse to give him any credit whatsoever. And for a lot of individuals, they've dug in so far on that, it would be detrimental to them and their social standing and their standing with their family and everything else for them to reverse that view. Some people have just gotten in too far, and it's perpetrated. That propaganda that even got them to this point is perpetrated by these individuals in the media and on social media. And they, if they run out of ammo, if they run out of arrows in the quiver, they then turn back to the old tricks, which in this case is Donald Trump is a racist. Ironically enough, this comes the day after Trump was in the White House celebrating Black History Month with Black business leaders and others. He also announced that he's awarding the Presidential Medal of Honor to Ben Carson. And I believe that'll probably happen at the State of the Union. I think that's great. I love Ben Carson. But none of that matters to them. Again, don't believe your lying eyes. Just go off of what the women of The View tell you. And as this is happening, and it was a relevant topic, they brought on Savannah Chrisley. And you know Savannah Chrisley is the daughter of Todd and whatever his wife's name is. I can't remember. But the Chrisleys, you know, the whatever the show was called, the something with Chrisleys. I used to watch it with Trish. It's actually, I think those guys are funny. Remember, he and his wife, Julie, that's it, Todd and Julie Chrisley, got sent to jail over some sort of financial gimmick that speculation is that they were set up. Some people say they were guilty. That's water under the bridge. But Donald Trump was the one that had pardoned them, had gotten them out of jail. And so Savannah Chrisley's been very involved with that. Anyway, so with that, they bring her on to the show yesterday, and the topic, and again, this is their job to do so, of Donald Trump being a racist is brought up. They have obviously been saying it, but Savannah Chrisley says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of hearing people say this because I know Donald Trump. I know who he is, and even by his actions, I can tell you that that's not who he is. But The View is not having it whatsoever, in the most disrespectful manner as well. Like, they can't even contain themselves when they have guests on the show. Listen to how this went down.
When it comes to the event that happened yesterday, what's so hard for me to witness is people stating that the president is a racist, because I've seen him firsthand. He saved one of my best friend's lives, a black woman who has been with him for 18 years. So he has a black friend. He's a racist. No, he saved her life. No, he did.
Okay. He's a racist. Here's the problem, Savannah, and why we have a different take on it. Many of us have a different take on it, because when you target DEI programs with executive office, from your with executive orders, your first week in office, arguing that the policies undermine national unity. You know, when you shared racist posts about the Obamas, when you pursued the death penalty for the exonerated five, after you knew they had been exonerated. These are the reasons that his behavior is so hard. And I don't know whether you know about this, but in the 70s, he was accused of discriminating against black tenants because he wouldn't rent to them. He didn't want them to build.
Was that an accusation?
No, that was a proven fact. They took him to court. They turned the lawsuit was settled with the Justice Department. But
yeah, because back then, Donald Trump was even racist back then, even though Whoopi Goldberg liked to hang out with him, and so did Joy Behar and everybody else. Totally loved him, and they used to bring him on The View all the time. But besides all that, yeah, it was definitely a racist, and we totally knew it. These people are so disingenuous, but what is amazing to me, and the reason I even bring that up, is the fact that it's such an old tactic of theirs that the fact that they're having to revisit that shows me that they're running out of ammo quick. And I think personally, it's just me, but I actually think that they are realizing that the people that they have been able to propagandize for so long, that they're starting to lose some of those people. And the reason for that is because those people are starting to see the fruits of Trump's labor in their own lives. And that's the quickest way to get to people, to get them to change their mind on particular situations or politics in particular. The quickest way to get them to change their mind is to have something that affects their life directly. Could be a pardon from the president of a family member or a friend. Could be a fat tax return that you've received that you then find out came from the policies of the president. It could be anything. A lot of them, in some cases, are financial, but it could be anything. If it affects someone's regular day-to-day life, could be something with their job, could be people in the service industry with no tax on tips. That's the kind of stuff that people see, and they're like, "Wait a minute, he actually did that? That's crazy. I've never seen a president do something like that. That's pretty good." People, the gears start turning in their head, and they're like, "Wait a minute, man, can this guy be this evil and do these good things for me?" And people, again, they start to change their minds a little bit. There are, as I stated, people that are dug in so far that in no way, shape, or form can come out and reverse their opinion. There are also people that will never stop believing that Trump's Hitler, and no matter how much their life benefits from Trump policies, will they ever acknowledge him whatsoever? But there are people out there, level-headed people, and maybe these aren't even hyper-political people. Maybe they're just average Joes. Maybe they keep up with a little politics. Maybe they don't. That start to say to themselves, wow, if this guy is so bad, why is it benefiting me so much? Is that maybe a bad person? And maybe that even prompts them to start doing their own research and say, okay, well, they said he's a racist. Let me actually look into that. Let me look into all the instances of him being racist. And they start to find very little instances of it. You know, it snowballs in a sense. And I think going back to that point, that the view that Whoopi Goldberg and others are starting to realize we're losing people. We're kind of losing this battle, and we got to figure out how to stop it. Calling him racist in the past worked. A lot of people believe that. But it ain't going to work this time around. Donald Trump has been in the political game for 10 years now. Over 10 years. And half the time he's been president. And people are like, well, I mean, can you convince anybody? I mean, does it seem like something that would come from someone of sound mind to say that right after the 8-year term of our first black president, that we did a complete 180 and elected a racist? Does that make sense to anybody? And not only that, but then 4 years after his term, we reelected him again? Do you really think that America that society is in that place where a proven racist can get 77 million votes? No, man. That math ain't mathing. And I think that's the argument you probably should propose to anybody that brings that up and tries to make the argument. Should have seen him yesterday in Georgia. It was great. He stopped by. He went to Rome, Georgia to I don't know if he's at a steel plant or some sort of manufacturing plant. But he stopped by the Varsity, the restaurant over in Georgia. Y'all know the Varsity. And these fast food workers, they were just eating it up. They were loving the fact that Trump was there. because they're just out there, regular people. They're out there just working, trying to make a living. And as you know, fast food doesn't pay a whole lot. Some pay better than others, but these are people that are just trying to make it by and have likely seen, in the sense of no tax on overtime and things of this nature, have likely seen a benefit in their life. And they say to themselves, wait a minute, this guy ain't that bad. Most of the staff at the varsity at this particular location were black. And they were loving some Donald Trump, just like at his event at the White House 2 days ago. They were loving some Donald Trump. So the stuff that Whoopi says, the stuff that comes out of The View, it's not working. And I don't know that they've got the memo yet, but it ain't working. One of the best moments of Trump being in Georgia, by the way. Well, there's two good moments. First one was there was a guy that was in the crowd, and he said to the president, he had a piece of paper with him. He was like, Mr. President, I actually got this Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. But I got it under Biden. He said, would you mind signing this? Because I don't want Joe Biden's name on it. I'd rather have your name on it. He's like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I really want it. He said, you want me to scratch Joe Biden's name out and sign my name? And he's like, yes, sir. He's like, okay. So fair enough. He took the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, signed it, and marked Joe Biden's name out, and made sure to point out, he's like, you'll know that this isn't an actual signature. This is actually auto pen. Like he didn't actually sign this. Everyone's like, yeah, we know. We know. It was good. And then there was this other moment where Trump was speaking at the steel mill. Again, it was some sort of manufacturing plant. I'm not sure exactly where it was, other than that it was in Rome, Georgia, because I didn't watch the entirety of the speech. He mentions during his speech one time when he pondered on the fact of whether or not he could give himself the Medal of Honor for his bravery, because they had flown to Iraq, I guess, to go maybe see the troops or something. This was during his first term, and he's like, it took a lot of bravery for me to fly over to Iraq and and land there in such a dangerous place. Listen to this. It's good.
Why? And I rebuilt the military my first time. I said, why would it take 4 years? They said, well, I would. So I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. I said to my people, am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And, I've given out so many to guys that are seriously brave. I mean, they come in with the arms are missing, the legs are missing. The stories are so unbelievable. And I said, no, it's a little stretch if I gave myself one of them. But it's one of those things. Someday I'm going to try. I'm going to test the law. Brandon, I'm going to say, let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll win in court after everyone sues me. After radical left lunatics sue me. Now watch. The fake news, I'm having fun. The fake news will say, Donald Trump wants to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. But he was rebuffed by the audience, who stood up and booed the hell out of him. No, they say that kind of stuff. It's amazing.
That's hilarious. He's so funny. All right, yeah. So that was his Georgia trip, and great speech today, talking about tariffs. Man, Trump's been on a roll this week, and I would dare say, even with the odds that are against him, with the Supreme Court ruling and everything else, Trump has had a phenomenal week. But of course, I can make that argument every week. Who knows? 205-545-9950. Quick break. More of the line coming up right after this.
leaves are falling all around town. I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged for such a pleasant stay. But now it's time for me to go. Autumn moonlight my way. But now I smell the rain and with it pain, and it's headed my way. Oh, sometimes I grow so tired, but I know I got one thing I got to do. Bam along.
Alabama Men's Clinic, alabamamensclinic.com. Alabama Men's Clinic is the best, man. What the stuff that they do for men all across the state of Alabama is nothing short of phenomenal. Just stunning what they can do, because let's be honest, we're being honest here as men. Your sex life is very important to you, especially if you're married, in a relationship, whatever. It's very important to you, right? And if you've got something going on inside of your body that is keeping you from living that part of your life to the fullest, or if you're not satisfied or she's not satisfied and there's a problem, it could put a damper on a lot of things, including your day-to-day life, including your decision making, like how you feel at work, man. Maybe depression, all kinds of stuff can come along with that. And a lot of times that's caused by low T. And low T doesn't just cause problems in your sex life. It's got you lethargic, you're tired, you're just foggy, and you feel like you can't get it together, especially in the morning. That's all low T. That's what low T does to you, and it is not something to be embarrassed or ashamed about. It is just something that happens to men. It used to be it just happened to men as they got older, but now it kind of happens to everybody. Whether you're older, you're middle-aged, or you're younger. I mean, even guys in their 20s go to Alabama Men's Clinic and say, "Hey, I think I'm off. I think I got something going on." And they got so many different solutions for so many different things. I kind of simplify it and just talk about your intimate part of your life, but there's a lot of different things that can really boost how you feel, boost your performance, and just in general make you feel like a manly man. And you want that, don't you? Alabama Men's Clinic makes that happen. Make sure you call them. You can set an appointment at alabamamensclinic.com. I really encourage you to do this, or call them at 205-598-7000, 205-598-7000, or they're right off Highway 31 in Homewood. They're easy to find. Check them out. Even if you don't have an appointment, you just want to show up, or you want to call them, say, "Hey, can I come see y'all today?" They'll help squeeze you in, man. That's the kind of people they are, and they'll be there for you. I mean, you call them at 10 o'clock at night. If you're doing some kind of treatment they put you on and you got questions, call them. This ain't like your regular doctor's office. This is run by men who understand, who use the treatments, and know what it is you need. 205-598-7000. And Noto Roofing, NOTO Roofing.com. NoToRoofing.com, my roofing company, best of the best of the best of the best. Make sure you reach out to them. Get that free roof inspection, complimentary roof tune-up, and all the things you need. I promise you won't be disappointed. 205-848-2299. That is 848-2299. NoToRoofing.com. Back Monday. Until then, see you, cuz.